The unexamined life is not worth living. Socrates. I want you to think about that for a second. In a world where we're constantly scrolling, working and chasing and numbing, how do we actually stop to examine? How do we pause and take that moment to ask ourselves, why do we do what we do? For most men, the answer is, it's rarely ever. And that's the reason why we're stuck. What's up to all of my heartbeats out there? For those who don't know me, my name is Demias, and I'm a father, retired United States Marine, author, speaker, and your go-to guy for emotional intelligence. I teach men on the importance of understanding how their emotions influence their behavior, and more importantly, how to be emotionally present and available in the lives of the people who need them the most. Today, I want to talk about understanding you, understanding yourself. And I'm not talking about in some surface level way. That's not what I'm talking about. Not some self-help cliche type way, but in a way that directly impacts your mental health, your relationships, and your ability to live with purpose. By the end of this video, I'll give you one practical daily task that will change the way you see yourself and the way you show up in your life. Let's start here. I want to start in an area that's about awareness, and I'm talking about the awareness of who you are. Why does self-understanding really matter? You see, when we operate without it, this is like operating in a blind manner. You're making choices without knowing what your true motives are. You're reacting without knowing the things that trigger you. I want you to think about the last time you lost your temper. Did you stop in that moment and ask yourself, why did I react like that? Or did you just move on and chalk it up to being stressed? When you don't examine, you repeat the same patterns over and over. Self-understanding is the foundation of your mental health. This is the thing that allows you to say, okay, this is why I did that. This is where it comes from, and here's how I can grow from it. Without that level of reflection, we stay stuck in cycles, broken relationships, repeated failures, and the same old excuses. I'll tell you this. After 22 years in the Marines, after burying Marines and losing my own children, I realized something. If I didn't take the time to examine myself, the pain that I was going through was going to ruin my life. My anger, my grief, my numbness, and it almost did. But the moment I started to ask the question, why, that was the moment I started to heal. That was the moment I started to realize who I was, why I operated the way I did. Socrates wasn't just throwing out poetic wisdom. The Stoics lived by this idea. Marcus Aurelius journaled every single day to examine his own thoughts and his weaknesses and his actions. Epictetus taught that it's not the events that disturb us, but it's the meaning that we assign to them. When Socrates said that the unexamined life isn't worth living, he was telling us that life without reflection is wasted potential. You can live, breathe, work, and die. But without self-examination, you never actually become. You never rise above instinct or conditioning. That's why I tie Stoicism to emotional intelligence. The Stoics didn't run from pain, they faced it. They studied it, they turned it into wisdom. And in this world today, we need that more than ever. How many people do you know that operate on autopilot? Waking up, scrolling on the phone, go to work, put on the mask, come home, numb out with TV, food, or drinking, wake up and do it all again. We don't ask ourselves why. Why am I scrolling? Why did I avoid that conversation? Why did I choose to shut down instead of speaking up? Without asking those questions, we stay in survival mode. And men, survival mode will kill you slowly. It'll rob you of your presence, your health, your relationships. That's why I teach men to examine themselves, not to shame themselves, but to understand. Because when you understand yourself, you gain power. Power over your triggers, power over your choices, power to create a life instead of drifting through one. I know for a fact the benefits of this, and I would be lying to you to tell you if I didn't still struggle with it now, but as long as you put it into practice, it works. So here's your daily task, and I promise it's simple, but it's life-changing. Tonight, before you go to bed, I want you to write down one decision you made today, just one, and then ask yourself, why did I make that choice? An example of this would be like you chose to snap at your kids. Okay, why? Did you do it because you were tired? Did you do it because work had you frustrated? Or did you do it because you felt out of control somewhere else in your life and that moment was your outlet? Or maybe you chose to skip the gym. Why? Because you didn't have time or because you were avoiding discomfort. And listen, this isn't about judging yourself. This is about examining, seeing where your choices are and seeing what they are for what they are. And the more you do it, the more you'll start to see the patterns. And once you see the patterns, this is when we can begin to break it. This is what it's all about. This is what true awareness is. Socrates was right. The unexamined life is not worth living because it's not really living, it's existing. So today I'm asking that you choose to examine. Start with one decision. Ask yourself why, journal it, reflect, and watch how your awareness begins to change the way you show up. If this spoke to you, I want you to hit that subscribe button because this is just day one of a lifetime journey, a journey into self-awareness, emotional intelligence, and resilience. And if you're ready to stop existing and start living, you're in the right place. This is Elevation Requires Change. Let's go.